I'm Amir, and today we're going to get a bit more serious and talk about a controversial phenomenon: dating apps. Maybe you've heard about the app Eshgbody these days. It's a show that's broadcast on YouTube and has a lot of fans. In this show, a group of single men and women participate. They're in a beautiful, pleasant place and try to get to know each other and form a romantic relationship. Now, with all this, there's always some drama in the middle, but it's called Eternal Love. It's not the first show of its kind. If we go back a bit, we see that these kinds of shows have a long history. The first dating shows were broadcast on Western television. For example, the show The Dating Game became very popular in the 1960s. In this show, one person would choose someone for a date from among three others who were hidden behind a screen. Afterwards, they would go on a date and then share their experiences with each other. Later, other shows came along like The Bachelor and Love Island, which had more complex formats and more competition. In those shows, a group of people live together in a house or on an island, and each week someone is eliminated. Their goal is to find a partner and win the prize. Now the question is, why have these shows become so popular? What makes us spend hours watching other people's love lives? Are we really looking for true love, or do we just want to be entertained? Now that we've gotten a bit familiar with the history of these shows, let's move on to some real and controversial examples, shows that made a lot of noise and had plenty of drama. One of the shows that became really famous was Love Island. This show was broadcast in different countries and gained a lot of fans. In this show, a bunch of attractive and stylish people would go to an island. They would try to form relationships with each other, but of course, things weren't always rosy. There were lots of fights, jealousy, betrayal, and all sorts of strange and dramatic events on the show. This show aired in different countries like the UK, the US, and Australia. It was broadcast with similar formats, and every season stirred up a lot of controversy. On Love Island, fights and jealousy among the contestants were a constant. The competition for attention made relationships very fragile, and at any moment there was a chance of betrayal or a relationship breaking up. Just imagine in a small group everyone is fighting over one person. Of course that's going to cause drama. Unfortunately, several contestants from this show faced serious mental health issues after the season ended. Some of them even committed suicide. This incident sparked a lot of discussions about the negative impact of these shows on the mental health of the participants. And the media pressure they face. Overnight fame isn't always a good thing. Another show that became very controversial was Married at First Sight, or Marriage at First Glance. In this show, a group of people who didn't know each other would get married. Another show that became very controversial was Married at First Sight. In this program, a team of experts, including psychologists and sociologists, they would select a number of couples based on scientific criteria, but the scary part was that these couples would see each other for the first time at the wedding ceremony and get married right then and there. Afterwards, they would live together for a few weeks, and in the end, they would decide whether to stay together or separate. Well, it's obvious that many of these marriages ended in divorce, because real acquaintance hadn't actually happened, and they had just put them together based on a set of general criteria. This program showed that love and marriage are more than just a checklist. It's scientific and requires time for understanding and deep compatibility, meaning marriage isn't a gamble. This program sparked a lot of debate about the ethics of such a format. Is it right to take two people's lives so lightly and put them in such a stressful situation? Many people saw this as playing with people's feelings and lives. You know, in the show Eshgbody, a lot of interesting things happened too. For example, some contestants fell in love very quickly, while others had a lot of issues. Some of them fought with each other, and some just came to get famous and aren't looking for love at all. In short, these shows are kind of like a documentary about real people's lives. The difference is that everything is shown in a very exaggerated and dramatic way. Of course, people's reactions to this show on social media are very different. Some people love it and follow it with excitement, while others criticize it for showing shallow relationships or for questioning Iranian culture. These very debates show how much this show has managed to engage society's mindset. These examples show that matchmaking programs, whether foreign or domestic, they're always full of unexpected events and surrounded by controversies. Since they deal with people's emotions, they can always be sensational. Now that we've talked about the controversies and sensational examples of these shows, let's take a deeper look at their social and psychological impacts. Are these shows really beneficial to society, or do they do more harm? One of the main criticisms of these programs is that they're changing the definition of love and relationships. In the real world, love is a long journey full of ups and downs that requires deep understanding, sacrifice, and patience. But in these shows, everything happens quickly. The contestants get to know each other in just a few days or weeks. They fall in love, kiss each other, and then either get married or break up. This shallow and fast-paced portrayal can make young people think that real love should be just as simple and free of challenges. When they face the realities of life, they might become disappointed and even give up on their relationships. Have you noticed how much this show emphasizes looks and physical attractiveness? The contestants are usually very good looking, and the main competition is all about that. This leads to a shift in the criteria for choosing a life partner in society. People start to care more about appearance and financial status than about personality, morals, or intellectual compatibility. This is a kind of superficiality that can be dangerous for the future of human relationships. Have you ever thought about how hard it is to live under the scrutiny of cameras and millions of viewers? The participants in this show are under a lot of psychological pressure. They have to fall in love, be attractive, compete with others, and also manage the drama of the show. This pressure can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even more serious mental health issues. As we saw in previous examples, unfortunately, some participants have been harmed because of this pressure. Now let's look at it from another angle. Do these shows have any positive aspects at all? Well, some people say that these shows can be a kind of indirect education. That is, by watching different relationships, arguments, reconciliations, and challenges, people can learn a few things. For example, how they should talk to their spouse, how to solve problems, or how to manage their emotions. Of course, this kind of education happens at a very superficial and performative level, and it can't replace specialized and deep training. On the other hand, you can't ignore the entertainment aspect of these shows. As we mentioned before, many people watch these shows simply for entertainment and to escape from their daily routine. Watching unexpected events and romantic drama can be appealing to some people. We need to learn to view these shows with a critical mindset. What things in these shows have been omitted or exaggerated? With this approach, we are no longer influenced by the hidden and sometimes harmful messages of these programs. If, as a society, we expect more realism from these shows and focus on the depth of relationships instead of the drama, maybe the producers will be forced to change the format of their programs, change their approach, and offer higher quality and more responsible content. Maybe it's time to return to genuine and authentic standards for choosing a life partner. That is, instead of focusing on looks and superficial attractions, we should value ethics, character, understanding, empathy, and the ability to build a lasting shared life. True love isn't found in luxury homes or in front of cameras, it's created in the hearts and minds of people. Well, we've reached the point where we need to sum things up. Are shows like Esh Gabadie good or bad? To be honest, there's no definite answer to this question. It depends on each person's perspective. On one hand, these shows can be entertaining. They take us out of our daily routines and for a few minutes or hours transport us to another world. We can enjoy watching romantic and dramatic stories, even if they're staged. But on the other hand, these shows might present an unrealistic image of relationships. In the real world, love isn't found that easily, and it's not always full of romantic moments. Real life is full of challenges and problems that are rarely addressed in these shows. This can lead people to have higher expectations of love and marriage. And when they face reality, they become disappointed. They get discouraged. Some people are afraid that these shows might make human relationships more superficial. Meaning, instead of looking for character and depth, people only care about appearances and fleeting attractions, as if love can be in competition with several dates. But it's also true that any show, whether real or scripted, can have different effects on different people. What's important is that we as viewers stay aware, meaning we should know what we're watching. Which things are real and which things are made just for our entertainment. We need to be able to distinguish between reality and fantasy and not let these shows influence us when it comes to love and relationships. In the end, eternal love and similar shows are social phenomena that can be both entertaining and challenging. What's important is that we look at them with open eyes and learn from them, not to blindly accept them. Now, an important final question for you, dear friends. In your opinion, how can we both enjoy these shows as entertainment and also protect ourselves from their negative effects? What advice do you have for young people who are influenced by these shows? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments. We're eager to hear your opinions and we'll respond to all of them. Follow us, and until the next podcast, goodbye.